Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosplay Photo Critique, episode 23. This week we are joined by everyone's favorite cosplayer. Sherry, we'll go with it. Oki-Cospi. Um,
Me.
so, Oki-Cospi, or as we will be saying for the rest of the stream, Allison, is someone we've wanted to have on the stream for a while. Her work schedule has prevented that for quite some time, but here we are. She's finally able to make it on, so we're happy to have her on. Allison is a cosplayer and I'm gonna say photographer. We'll go there from Iowa.
Level up.
And yeah, so awesome to have you with us here for this critique, Allison.
Thank you.
She's just like, thank you.
I'm so nervous. Oh my god, stop.
Yeah, no chat, no dabbing. Dabbing's not allowed.
Get out of here, Neil.
I especially thank you to everyone that's watching, that gave up watching right now GDQ. There's 2 streams that are going right now that I would love to be watching. And I'm just like, damn it. Both Celeste and Cuphead are running during the stream, and I'm like, damn it. Well, okay, let's get some introduction on Allison. So, we're gonna do our little guest showcase here, and then we got some questions for you. Okay, if I can figure out where the hell my buttons are. There we go. All right, so in the background here, we're gonna have photos both of Allison and photos that Allison has taken. So I think they should be pretty clear which one's which, but
hopefully, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to relook at it, but okay, so let me pull up my questions for you here. So Allison, how long have you been cosplaying for?
I have been cosplaying since 2007. Anime Iowa was my first convention, and I made what did I wear? Sakura from Naruto Shippuden. So it'll be
Hell yeah,
12 years this summer. Holy cow! 12 years of cosplay.
You're just like, I just thought
Big
about
milestone.
how long that is. Oh god.
My life flashes before my eyes. Naruto's the gateway.
I mean, the scary part for me is like that was like I was getting out of that gateway phase by the time Naruto came in, so that just makes me feel super old.
Oh.
Lord. So Elson, when did you start getting interested in the photography side of things?
So I took photography a lot in high school, and like I thought it was all cool, and did like my friends' senior portraits, and they were so awful, like overexposed. The contrast was awful and everything on them, and like just like because I've always been into like art, I guess like it's just something I've always done, but I didn't start doing like cosplay photography until what did I write down here? Katsucon 2017, I took some photos of my friend Pocky Thief's Gwendolyn cosplay in the atrium at Katsucon, and like, oh my gosh, I love those. And like, it was my first time using a prime lens. I used a 50mm for those photos, and I don't know. Ever since those, I've always just wanted to keep taking photos, and like, it was like I tried being like aesthetic with it, because like a lot of people that I had worked with hadn't really shot like that, and it was kind of like a new thing, I guess, in cosplay was aesthetic photos back then, or that was like the trend. So I just since then have just kind of off and on taken photos and got kind of serious with it in the last year, since like end of 2017 until now.
Well, hell yeah. It's awesome. Yeah, I think there's something really strong to be said about, spending that many years on the other side of the lens and then moving to behind it. That kind of gives you a really strong head start because your work has been Way better than mine, I would say, like a year or so into photography in terms of cosplay photography. So yeah, no, it's really awesome to see you make that kind of switch. God damn it. God damn it, Mason Hikari, get out of here with your sayings. Um so do you prefer cons or locations for shooting?
Well, originally the reason why I even traveled to conventions, like outside of the Midwest, because like I mean, most conventions I went to for my first like 5 years of cosplaying was or no, even more than that. It was just like Midwest conventions. And then like you would start seeing videos of like these beautiful hotels and like you'd see like the Katsukan hotel and just be like, I want to take photos there. Like I want to be posed on the marble floor with the beautiful like windows and stuff, right? So like originally I always loved going to the venues and just shooting in those beautiful settings. But nowadays, because you see so many photos of the same location and you can just recognize a location by the floor or maybe the curtain. Like I love location shoots a lot more and like I think there's a lot more magic in like location and location could mean like not necessarily outside but also like a specific venue that you travel to like maybe a hotel like downtown Chicago 3 hours away you specifically set aside that amount of time to shoot at that specific place. Like I don't know. I think now there's a magic of just having a different scene and location versus the convention location for me.
Um so as a cosplayer, how do you go about preparing for a shoot?
Well, like what did I write down here? Because I'm really bad at photo shoot. Like typically you would want to like practice your makeup or practice poses, but I'm always really bad at that. But I kind of spend my seriously like
You're just like, how I prepare? I don't.
I'll wing it. Don't prepare. Still working on stuff night before you gotta leave, you know, that crunch.
Yeah, but like the standard cosplayer.
That's a mood.
Yeah, but like how I prepare for cosplay, I guess nowadays is I'm a lot more inspired by where I'm going to shoot. So typically like most of my costumes now are based on a location I want to work at. So like I always start cosplay and research with a concept in mind of like, oh my gosh, what if I made this costume and shot it at this place? That's kind of where my mindset is more now preparing for cosplay because I really don't work with a lot of new photographers and I don't work with or like I don't go to cons anymore. So like I don't have to constantly be prepping for new, I guess, like ideas or like rapid pumping them out. I can like sit down and actually just think of like over a long span of time of what I want to come out of the cosplay and images versus like, oh, I need to have this pose, this pose, this pose, and then just repeat through the next however many shoots at that one place.
Awesome. And kind of on the flip side of that question, I think this is kind of a fun one. What's one thing a photographer does or could do that drives you nuts during a shoot?
Not giving direction.
Your pet peeve. Oh yeah.
I hate it. Like I'm really not self-conscious about like a photographer telling me like, oh, you need to turn your torso, like it'll just be more flattering, or can you turn like, I don't know, just being very specific on how they want you to move, or like if like I personally don't have a problem with photography coming up and like being like, oh, can you move this way or turn your shoulders that way? I know some people do, but like it really bothers me when I'm not getting that immediate feedback when I'm working with someone because I don't have like my eyes can't see through the camera right now. Like all I know is what I might have practiced in a mirror, might have. So like that immediate feedback is incredibly helpful and like it's more likely I think for me to be happier with a photo when I know that like, oh, they have an eye and they're noticing that things are wrong. Like, oh, can you fix your wig? Your wig's in your eye. Like, can you turn your head this way for more light to get in on your face, etc. Stuff like that. Like, I need that direction.
um, So, as a cosplayer that often takes your own photos, what is some of the biggest challenges with that, and how do you overcome them?
Currently the biggest challenges that I'm facing taking my photos is that I have a really small apartment, so I can't get a lot of full body photos. A lot of photos I take are portrait or like limbs might be cut off in places, and like it's not obviously like what I would like to have, but it's what I can do. And even knowing that, it's still really frustrating to work in confined spaces doing self photography. Um, and then you don't get that immediate feedback like I was talking about. It's just you and you have to take like a billion photos and then hopefully one turns out. Working with like a remote is really difficult because maybe some of those photos you took aren't even in focus, but it could have been really, really good, but you just don't know. And then one of like the biggest problems that I struggle with currently is I like working outside a lot, but I'm also a self-conscious person where I don't want to just be me in a costume outside in a pretty conservative town with a tripod standing against like a weird building and looking like a weirdo all by myself. I'd rather have like friends to look weird with.
That's fair.
And then you also have like the struggle of like, oh, if I want to shoot outside with the tripod and look like the weirdo, are those photos going to be in focus? Am I going to waste a bunch of time doing it myself? So just not having someone always just be able to go is the worst part about self photography.
Yeah. Allison's like, the worst part about self photography is the self part of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Thanks for that brilliant deduction. We appreciate it.
It is the worst part. Because yeah, it's lonely.
It's not because it's harder, it's because it's lonelier.
It is.
I think that's understandable though.
Yeah, no, it is. It depends on what kind of person you are too. I imagine it's harder to get in that groove too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some benefits, like for me doing, like I do boudoir photography stuff and like sexier stuff, and like that's easier for me to shoot myself. Like it'd be really weird for me to shoot that with a photographer maybe. But like other costumes and stuff, it's harder for me because I'm just like, oh, I want to shoot like my Oda cosplay. I really want to get more photos of that, but like I don't think in that armor I could hold a remote and or my phone while trying to pose with gloves that have like warbler claws on them and try and hold a prop.
If you could do
that. I love Flashcord's comment here. If you do something weird alone, it's weird. If you do something weird with a bunch of other people, it's a club.
Exactly.
Life.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let me bring up my questions. I lost where it was. What is your favorite cosplay that you have either made or worn?
I really love my Monster Hunter cosplays a lot. So my Oda costume was a huge challenge for me this year. I learned a lot about armor making, and then I have very fond memories of my Kieran cosplay that I made in 2014. Just because, like, with those costumes and Monster Hunter costumes, there's such a good mixture of armor making, sewing, and like I get to resin craft, and like maybe I'll make a prop, but I don't make props. So like I don't know. Those are my favorites. And then you just get to feel like a total badass in them. Like my Kieran outfit is like you got a big midriff going on and like just a loincloth, but you don't necessarily feel like showy and naked in it. I feel like really powerful. So like I really love Monster Hunter cosplays. They're my favorite ones.
What's one cosplay you've always wanted to do?
Sylvanas from World of Warcraft. I started doing that, or started making it in 2017.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's just sitting in a box in my storage room right now, and I try it on every once in a while, just to be like, oh yeah, I could finish it. It's literally almost done being made.
Oh my god, just finish it!
I know, it's just such an intimidating project. It's been on my list since I was in college. When was that? How long ago was that? Since 2014, I think it's been on my to-do list, and it just terrifies me. I don't know. It's just like, oh, I love her so much, and it's just like one of those projects. I'm just like, I need to do it right. So it's just taken so long.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
And then final questions here. Got two that are pretty similar but different aspects. What's one piece of advice you would give to cosplayers?
To cosplayers, I would say have fun with cosplay. Don't take it seriously because it is just a bunch of us nerds dressing up. The worst part for me when cosplaying is like when I feel like an outsider in a group that is full of outsiders. Typically, like I'd rather just like have fun with a bunch of strangers and be like, oh, like I'm still a stranger amongst strangers. And then just have fun. Yeah, just keep having fun and make more art out of cosplay, I think.
Other side of the same question, what's a piece of advice you would give to photographers?
Approach like photos and like models and cosplayers with like a concept in mind versus just being like, oh, I could get like the same pose and photo as we've done like over and over. It's more fun like to approach someone, I think, and just be like, oh my god, I've got this cool idea, are you down? Like, do you want to do this? What if we did this, etc., stuff like that. I think having a concept is better, and then you're on the same page, and I think you just make more art that way versus a photo.
Awesome. That wraps up our little interview with you, which hope people enjoyed that. And now let's get into the critique side of things. But before we do, I want to say a couple things that I always say. One, chat, please critique along with us. It's so much fun when you're here with us critiquing, giving your own perspectives. We love it. So contribute. We'll try and keep up and take a look at your comments. And
that's gonna happen a lot, y'all.
I covered my mouth too. I was like, oh no.
Please critique that burp. Maybe it could use a little bit more volume.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Suddenly our view counter shot up. Wow. Who would have ever guessed?
Yo, Neil will give you a 7 out of 10. That's weak.
It's because I covered my mouth. I'm sorry. I won't do it next time.
I mean, I knew this was happening, but whatever.
I tried staying away from like soda all day. I did not have any pop today. I just drank the Monster, but it's not helping.
Yeah, you're just like, I stayed away from soda except for the Monster I drank right before the stream. Yeah, you can't say that.
Okay.
Okay, where was I? Okay, chat, critique along with us. It's awesome. We'll try and follow your comments as you're making them. We might not see all of them, but either way, it's super appreciated and really awesome. We'll say, since there's a fair few of you guys watching over on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, we're not keeping track of the chat over there, and feel free to keep watching on there, but stream is in higher quality on Twitch, and we are also following chat on Twitch, so please come to Twitch. It's greatly appreciated. And then Lou, thanks for that sub. Also Bifu, thanks for that follow. Appreciate that. That'll be the next thing is if you enjoy the critique, subs are super appreciated, especially if you have a Twitch Prime, or Amazon Prime, which means you got Twitch Prime. That means you get one free sub a month, and consider using it here. Or even if you just want to give me a regular sub, that is awesome and greatly appreciated and helps. Or if you feel like giving a donation, there's a link at the bottom of the stream for that, and that is also greatly appreciated. You don't have to do any of those things by any means, but if you're enjoying it and you've been here for a while, it does help us and keeps things going. And you can also spam those Dutch ankle emotes. Last thing, we're always taking guest suggestions, so if there's someone you want to see on the stream, I'm going to try and continue to bring in new guests for 2019. I almost said 2018. So if there's anyone you'd like to see on the stream this year, we'll try to make it happen. That said, there's a lot of restrictions to that, like if there's some people just lack the ability to do it or don't feel comfortable with it, or just in terms of like distance or even language barrier can be sometimes hard. So kind of be conscious with that with your suggestions, and we'll try to bring on some new people this year, and hopefully that'll be fun. I think that is everything. With that, let's jump into the critique.
Yay!
Okay. So, this first photo is from Chris Kahn. Sarah, do you want to lead us off here?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I like how clean this image is. Because the first thing I noticed was like how well done the skin retouching is, and I was like super impressed by that. And overall, I just kind of liked like the light. Like, I don't really think there was like any color grading on it, really. I think it was just like a lot of like level correction and stuff. And I always appreciate people who can do that well, because I sure as hell can't. So I just like how clean and crisp this is, and also how I think it's lit really well. I don't know, Angie, you might have differing opinions as you're someone who uses lights.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like superb, but
I like that. I like the highlights in the eyes a lot.
The thing that impresses me is he left this comment on this shoot is this is one of his first shots using off-camera flash, which
oh really?
If that's one of your first shots using off-camera flash, and then you're starting with these results, you're starting pretty high, so that's a pretty darn great place to start.
Way ahead people who've been doing it for years. Let me just say that. This is good.
Yes.
Yeah, so my first impressions is overall, I think it's a really, really nice image. Like, if I was a cosplayer, I'd be really happy with it. My one critique is I'm gonna assume this was taken during Hallmat. Maybe not, or
I don't think so. I think he's actually this cosplay photographer is in Greece, I believe. Don't hold me to that. Yeah, I'm not 100% positive, but I believe so.
But okay. So what I was gonna say is I'm not really sure what this is from, but I think the present prop thing is a little distracting. Like right now, I feel like in scale it's the same size as like the cosplayer, so it's kind of like there's like competing like focal point elements. So I kind of wish that the cosplayer was more the center. I mean, even though she is, and like her eyes are very like very much the focus, I'm still distracted visually by the present. So I kind of wish that was kind of like, I don't know, maybe she was sitting up a little straighter and we could see more of her costume or like more of her body. But yeah, I feel like right now they're competing.
Yeah, I think there's something kind of interesting with quotes happening with the way that presence is covering her. And I don't know how to say this like completely in a perfect way, but it kind of gives that impression because it's almost completely covering the front of her cosplay and there's not much on her chest. It kind of gives almost like this feeling like when you're a quick glance like she's nude. Like when you look at it for longer,
towels or something.
Yeah. Like when you look at it for a while, you can obviously tell that's not the case. But like just at like first glance, you're like, is she? No. But like
no, I had the same reaction when I first saw it.
Yeah, totally. So absolutely, it's the prop's just taking up too much of the frame, anyways. But like just the way it's positioned also kind of makes it feel just a little odd.
I don't know. The prop really doesn't bother me personally. I mean, I don't really know. I think I really like the texture of the lines on it, like how sharp all of that looks, and it leads well to her, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, the most distracting thing for me is just how dead on her face is. I wish it was tilted a little bit more towards the light so it wasn't so shadowed on the right side of her face. And I'm pretty sure this is Jinx from League of Legends.
I thought it was
oh, really?
I'm pretty sure it is.
It just had a League feel to me. I have nothing to back that up, but I'm like, it feels like League, so maybe.
Well, just like knowing that it's Jinx, I wish it was like, this is a really cute photo. Her expression's really great, but then I also wish it had like a bit more of like that Jinx kind of craziness to it.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, she is, and like, I don't know, I really like it. Even like when I zoom, I think it looks really nice, just kind of cropped a little bit too. But it's a really nice, like, holiday-esque feel. Like, I'm assuming it's like a flash or a strobe or something in the back that makes it look like a fireplace. It's like a really nice warm feeling.
I mean, it could very. Actually, I don't think it's a fire. It's the color is maybe a little off. Yeah. But like it's convincing. Like if you don't really think about it, like it totally reads like it's like a fire could actually be going on back there. Couple other thoughts here. I totally agree with you on the face being dead on. That's probably that, Sarah, when you mentioned the lighting. That's kind of the one thing that I thought is that the lighting's really good, but because her face is dead on, I think it feels a little heavy. Like you get that strong shadow on her nose. I think if her eyes could continue looking straight towards us, but I think if her face was tilted or turned a little bit towards the light, it would work out a lot better.
Yeah, just a little bit.
In terms of like color palette with this image, I actually really like the color toning. There's lots of just kind of this natural tones, and there's all these reds in the image. But that's kind of like, for me, depending on how strictly you're adhering to the cosplay in terms of it being canon, man, I want that present not to be pink so much. Like if that present was red, I feel like that would work in the vibe of this image so much.
I think it's supposed to be more purple. Yeah. But it's definitely a little more magenta.
Yeah. I don't know.
Flashed is a little bit with the red, but
that's just the design, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. And that, like I said, that is maybe me being a little much with that complaint. The only other thing I would say in terms of pose, her shoulder, her right shoulder really needs to be rolled back a little bit. Like her shoulders are just so hunched forward in this because she's holding it that way. Which is like natural, but
I think the idea of this pose is like that really cutesy one. Like this pose reminds me a lot of like the May photo that you and I did, Andrew, where I was like hugging the snow bear or like the the polar bear plush, like where it's like supposed to be like really, really cutesy.
Yeah.
But it does look like she's more hunched forward because you can't really hold it.
I was gonna say, thinking about that shot, I think that was very straight on, and also you were wearing a baggy sweater in that photo. So I think as opposed to like exposed skin, so you can really see how the shoulders are hunching forward. Mm-hmm. I think maybe this pose works better if the torso's square to the camera, so you do kind of get that cutesy hug pose. But from the side angle, when you get to see and her head towards it, it just doesn't quite work very well. I'd really want to see that shoulder rolled back. Speaking of that, I actually forgot something, guys. So for this, excuse me. Sorry about that. My voice is just like wanting to go die there. So I have uploaded all the photos on Flickr. I'll post that link in the chat if you guys want to go and follow along. The photos in high res are on Flickr. Those are the photos exactly as we are seeing them as well. So, yeah, all of those are linked on Flickr in the chat. So, sorry, I forgot to do that earlier. I'll try and post it throughout the stream if I'm remembering. But if anyone asks if chat could also keep up on that, that would be amazing. I'm trying to think if I had any other comments on this. I think we're good. I really like this shot though overall.
I mean, I personally wish there was like her eyes are really catching in this photo because there's so much red and her eyes are so green. I wish there was like a little bit more green. Like maybe if there were like this garland in the scene that you could have like decorated to like
maybe if the present was green.
Maybe if the present was green, League designers, please.
Come on, League, get with it.
I would really like to see a bit more green in the photo because I think it would just add more into the holiday spirit of the image. Like it definitely reads holiday, but I think it would just come off even more. And then there would just be more of like another color to relate her eyes to. But yeah.
Yeah. the one thing that I come back to is like just the light on her eyes is really nice. Like the catch lights are just really good. I like that a lot.
It's really sharp too.
I know Sarah also mentioned this. The retouch is really nice. I just want to get back to that purely because retouching with freckles can be
annoying.
Very difficult because you don't want to retouch out the freckles, so you have to be very careful with it. So it can be kind of a pain. So it's really good. Okay. Before we move on to the next photo, thank you FX Dandy for that subscribe. Appreciate it, my dude.
Nice.
Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Brett and Allison. Do you want to start us off here?
Yes. Okay.
So, I feel like no, I don't actually.
No, I wouldn't want to say that. Okay, so I took some notes on this because I was super nervous. So the one thing that really catches my eye in the photo is the lighting. It's so soft. I love it. It really reminds me of like Renaissance era paintings with like, I don't know how light it is on like the highs, especially like the cheekbones.
Very
and then
dreamy.
It's very dreamy, soft light. I really enjoy that. And then the colors are also very soft and like they just balance each other so well. Like the tone in the hair, like it frames the skin like colors really well. Like it's just really warm right in that spot. And then everything else except for that upper corner is a bit cool. So like my eyes stay at the face and I really appreciate that with this photo. What else I got here? And like along with the colors, because it's so warm, it looks like it's really sun-kissed. And I don't know, I really like that. The things that I think could use a little bit of work, because the lighting is so nice in certain areas. If you look at the belts, for me, I think they're a little too dark. Because you can see so much detail everywhere else, but then those are just really black. But then I can still see like glimmer of like what must be studs or something there. I would like to see that lifted just a little bit. And then there's also something I think is easily fixed. There's a rip seam underneath the armpit of the cosplay under the sleeve. So just like maybe cleaning that up because everything else is so clean. Just cleaning that up I think would really add. And then when I do zoom in, my eye, I don't know if the focus was completely missed because it seems really close, but my eye always goes right to the buckle on the arm versus the cosplayer's eyes, even though like they're colored really well and they're very bright. Like my eye always goes to the buckle when I zoom in. Yeah.
I feel like you legit just said everything that I was thinking.
Yeah. No, it was really great commentary overall. There's like one thing about this photo that I feel I really like this shot, but there was one thing that bothers me about it the most is the framing. I don't want to say I really don't like the framing, but it feels very off to me with how much negative space is on the top and how the kind of the head of the cosplayer is dead center in the frame. It just feels like there's just so much negative space that isn't really doing anything positive for the shot. I genuinely think just a simple crop in, making this shot a bit more square, because right now I think it's pretty vertical composition. I think just cropping this photo down helps a lot, just because there's so much negative space. I genuinely try to avoid having a cosplayer's head center in the frame. It just feels very odd to me. And that's maybe why I feel that way about this one. I don't know if you guys agree or not.
I was gonna say that I like where they were going with the negative space because like Breath of the Wild, I mean it's open game and everything. You feel so small and the world is so vast. So I like that they were going for that, like that feel, like making me feel like really small and like really immersed in the nature environment. But I think you're right. I think the framing is a little weak. If I was taking it, I would have the cosplayer more on the bottom right corner and then have like a lot of negative, like really take it there instead of kind of like
I totally agree. If you're gonna lean into the negative space, lean in hard.
And especially because they are looking at the Sheikah slate, like their eye is literally going out of the frame. So like the way that their arms are going, like my eye immediately just leaves it. Like this is something I learned in like editorial design, is like you never want to have like, because you're always looking at a photo by itself, like you don't want your eye to lead off of the thing, because then you kind of are like, you're drawn out of it. Yeah. Overall, I think it's a really, really beautiful photo. Like the colors are beautiful. I think Mallow would agree that these are pretty awesome.
And when I saw this photo, I immediately thought of Mal.
Yeah. Allison, you pretty much said everything that I was thinking. I don't really have anything else to add without repeating everything. So.
Yeah, no, it's a really solid photo. I think, if it were me, just giving like a bit more negative space, even just on top, like owning that negative space on top could help. I admit that is fairly nitpicky, but yeah.
I'm like looking at it to try and crop it with my hands.
This is why I open these photos in Photoshop, so I can just crop it. Not have to. I don't have to imagine.
My
I
hands
just
are
do
here.
it.
That's fine. When I open a program, my computer will run slower.
Oh my god! You have a decent computer, though.
It's fine. My hands are here. They work.
Nice.
Okay. You guys have any final thoughts on this one before we move on to the next shot? Cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Want to give a shout out to a bunch of people for following in the past couple minutes here. Coetas, I'm gonna butcher these username. Coetas, Randy G123, Cosplay Studio, and Card Game. Thanks for those follows. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Lucy Billington. And I am starting off on this one. So I really like the idea of this shot. I feel like I'm also the wrong person to do this one because I do not like Harley Quinn, but that's my own personal stigma coming. I know. It's my own stupid personal problem, but whatever. So I think the composition of this photo is really solid. I think there's a really strong basis to work off of. I think you can take that and kind of run with this in the photo. The pose, while I'd maybe have the leg a little bit more down so that it's the knees a little less pointed out. Overall, I like the pose that she has in this frame. Maybe turn her torso just a little bit more towards you as well. But like overall, it's pretty solid. The thing that I would maybe do to make this composition a little bit more interesting is, instead of having your shot as lined up, like as close to the fence as possible, I'd maybe move away so you have more of the fence taking up the frame. That way, maybe you could have it trail off and have the background be mostly the fence. If you're still having, I don't know how big this fence is, but you could potentially pull them like further along the fence so that you could have more fence in the background. I think that could be a potentially cool looking shot. Because like looking at this shot, I don't know if this building is necessarily doing anything for you in this photo. I don't think it looks bad, but it just kind of feels a little off. But like overall, I like the clouds in the background are nice. The lines on the kind of tiled pathway on the ground are nice. I overall like it. However, the one thing that gets me here is maybe a little bit of the mood as well. I think Harley Quinn, I don't think bright, like kind of midday-ish light. And albeit that might have been a limitation of when and where you could shoot. But
the color grading could have changed the mood.
Yeah, definitely. It's very warm. I would agree with you, Sarah, there. If you took a cooler, that could help. Or if you could wait a couple hours and do the same shot, I think it would probably help you. Especially with how the lighting is. Like it's kind of funny because on her body as a whole, I think the lighting's pretty solid. I don't have too much of a problem with it.
Just like on the face.
But on her face, you're getting these really strong shadows, this bright highlight on her nose, and on her forehead. That's generally something I'd try to avoid.
I kind of wonder why they weren't taking it from the other direction, because the light's coming from the left.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you get the bright sunlight. Man, bright sunlight's hard to work in. I usually totally backlight in this situation, but I don't think you could get this angle with that. Usually my solution with this is if I have an assistant is I grab a diffuser and diffuse it, and that fixes all my problems. But yeah.
Oh, they said it was quite short on the other side.
Oh, so yeah. No, that's okay. Then. Well, then discard that point.
Never mind.
Lol.
I wonder also what it would have looked like on the other side of the fence, and like the chance that you could have been able to take this straight on with the cosplayer too, and just had like some crazy, I don't know, like really strong pose, like a front pose. I don't know, because it's Harley Quinn. She's like a really strong character and like really wacky and crazy. You could get really wacky with poses. I personally don't think like harsh daylight would be too awful for this either, because it's a comic character. So like if you had really extreme shadows, you could like really have fun with it, like what I think.
So I think that the biggest thing is like extreme shadows are fine, messy shadows are not. That's like the hard thing with hard light is like you need to get it so the shadows are hard but clean, and then it could work. I don't know if this is what you were getting at, Allison, like, but like having her on the other side of the fence, like the fence would be in front of her.
Just like, so just moving so that the photo is taken just dead on in front of her. Because like she stays where she is. But the photographer just moves.
Yeah. I was thinking about that same thing, and actually, like, I was thinking because of Harley Quinn's personality, it could be fun to have Harley Quinn behind the fence. That could be interesting and kind of thematic as well.
Especially in Suicide Squad, when you first see her, she's in jail. So you could really play that up.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is when I look at this shot.
It was awful.
What?
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. She said the background from the other awful.
All I heard was awful, and I was like, what are you talking about? I think there's a lot of like there's so many little tweaks in this shot that could take it to the next level. I think the base here is really solid though. Just kind of like taking those little noticing these little things and tweaking them, and that's something that I feel like usually just comes with time and practice, because man, trying to like get an eye for like picking out all the little details in a frame is so like that takes so much time, and like I still think I'm just okay at it. So like yeah. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the next shot?
Oh.
Cool.
No. No.
Okay. So let's move on to the next shot. This is from Elizabeth Rochelle. And Sarah, back to you for starting off.
I love these colors. I follow a lot of like non-cosplay photographers, non-cosplay photographers on Instagram, and they're really big into
people
this,
shoot
like,
things other than cosplay.
No, because when I said it, I was like, wait, did that make any sense? Anyway, but I've been really big into the like I can't do it, but into like the cyan highlight look. I don't really know how to explain it, but because they're doing it in this photo and I really, really like it. I'm also like a really big sucker for like unusual color grading in the community. I think more often than not, you just see a lot of like cleaner styles. Whereas this one got like a lot more adventurous with the colors and the color shifts and stuff. And I think it looks so, so cool. And it's like super moody. Yeah, so I just like the mood of this photo, and the color grading overall in the shot is just like it's not what I typically see of Fate. Usually when I see Fate, it's like very dynamic and like very colorful, like in a happier way. Whereas this has a little more like raw emotion to it, which is really cool. I also think the lighting is really, really nice. I like how the light is hitting and falling on her face, and you have like those specular highlights in her eye, which I can't. I'm going to. Was this all natural? Is this lit? I don't really know.
Let me look. This has to be all. This is natural.
Okay, I wasn't sure because like the highlight in her eye is so it's like a shape. So
let me read this. She left a comment, so I'll just read it in whole right now, just to kind of get that out there. The lighting conditions were not the greatest for the shoot, so I know it's a little out of focus. The waterfall was pretty foggy as well, so I didn't want to fire a flash because I was afraid the possible reflection would ruin the shot. Other than that, I'm curious. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, I find it hard to believe that it was poorly lit because it looks really nice.
Yeah, I think it was dark, but I think the light was actually pretty decent because I'm looking at it and it's I don't think it's actually out of focus. I think it's just blurry.
It's not. Just a little blurry.
Yeah. So settings on this were 30th of a second, f4, ISO 6400. If it were me, I would have probably, depending on what lens you're shooting this on, turned down the f-stop a little bit to get more light, or crank that ISO. This is admittedly on a 5D Mark II, so the ISO is not as great of a strength. But I would at least go up to a stop or two on ISO so that you can get that shutter speed up a little bit. Excuse me.
If there's anything that I would fix, I know she's doing like a kneeling pose, which is great for this character, but I feel like it's a little bit shortened. I would have had her like sit up a little bit more. I feel like you're just losing a lot of height from her legs, and also you can't see them at all. So
I think that's the problem with it.
Gone.
I don't necessarily even think it's the kneeling that's the problem. It's just that you can't see anything that's going on down there.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're just not there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, also that could have been the lighting conditions. If it was poor lighting, that probably maybe it was just hard to get. But yeah, that's really my only thing. Like, this is just it's a really beautiful shot. It feels like a painting to me.
I got a couple nitpicky things. Overall, I really like it. One thing that Bobo said in the chat that I would echo is kind of the definition on her jawline. That's something I would try. I'd want her head just a little bit more forward, maybe, just to get that a little bit more emphasis on her jawline. If anything, you can dodge and burn a little bit to help that out. Second is the framing. Overall, the framing is pretty good. But it feels just slightly like she's mostly centered in the frame with a little bit left weighted, but her head is like just not quite centered like her body is. So I'd love to see her also centered in the frame, or her head also centered in the frame. The one thing that really kind of like, I don't want to say bothers me, but I think is a really easy thing to fix, is the direction she's looking. So one, I think with this kneeling pose, her looking up and off like that maybe feels a little bit weird. Maybe if she were looking more straight up, it could work. Or if she was looking down towards the sword, it would work, but kind of her looking off like that feels like a little odd given her pose. But here's what specifically bothers me with this. So if you're going to have someone looking off in one direction, don't also have their eyes looking in a different direction than their nose is pointing. The reason being is
too much white.
It's not even too much white. Think about it logically. Like if you're looking off somewhere, you move your head, not your eyes. Like if you move your eyes, it's usually a very quick glance. Like you'll look over real quick. But like if you want to fully look somewhere, you're looking at something for more than like a quick second. You turn your head. Like it's something that you just do kind of naturally, and it just feels a bit more natural. And kind of like doing this pose kind of makes it look like she was looking at something and then she's side-eyeing something else. Like it just feels like a little weird to me. So I definitely try and keep the eye direction the same as the nose direction when you have someone looking off.
So like something that I do during streams, which I didn't realize that's why I was doing it until you just this, like having your eyes go the same direction as your nose. I'll literally like hold up my hand during a shoot and be like, "Can you please follow it?" Yeah. Because I noticed that that'll fix it like immediately. Because I can't quite figure out like why it's bothering me, but now that you've explained it, I get it now. So that's a good tip for photographers. It's like if you want to get like that full convincing direction, tell them.
Oh man. Cool.
I've got a few things.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm waiting my turn.
Yay.
So one thing I really, really like about this photo is like the haziness. I think you mentioned that they said in the comments that it was foggy with the waterfall. I really like that. Like I think it really adds this like magical element to the photo. Like it creates kind of like a halo around her head. And I think it is helping capture some of the light to make it look like it's just like falling on her. Lifting the blacks like we talked about, I think would definitely help see the legs a little bit more. And then the one thing that I'm always really self-conscious about in cosplay is my jawline, because I have a really soft jawline too. And like Andrew knows this, but like I always like making sure my neck is showing. And while like her neck is showing, I would like to see like her head turned a little bit more and shoulders pushed back. That way it's gonna just give like the character a stronger stance and look a little bit more regal, but then also bringing the head down, I think would also really help just give a little bit more curve and strengthen the jaw a bit and just give a little bit more definition. And then in her left eye, it looks a little bit more red, maybe irritated or something, contacts, but that's just something that could have been fixed in post as well. Yeah. I don't know. For me, it looks a little red.
I feel like that's one of those things that, like, by the time you look at it, like full screen, it's like so small that it doesn't. Like,
oh, the moment I zoomed in, I saw it. Says,
"Oh, it's from the dodging."
Oh,
yeah.
But
I've done that before. Oops.
Whoopsies. Yeah, no, the background, the background, as Mallow says, she wants to make love to that background. It's a pretty nice background.
It's so pretty.
Pretty solid. Okay. I think that we about covered everything on this shot. Let's move on to the next photo. Okay, this one is from Tyrannosaurus. And Allison, I believe you are first on this one.
I didn't know I had this one too. Oh man,
did I screw things up? I mean, it could be me.
I think you did, because okay.
Hold on.
As long as it's on you and not on me.
No, no, I have it down as you.
Then I can't read. Okay, that's fine. So I'm a sucker for
Whoopsie.
I'm a sucker for Princess Mononoke cosplays. So
Hell yeah.
Automatically I really love this costume.
Yeah.
Like this photo is fantastic. And I really like the cosplayers like take on San. It's really like tribal and I really appreciate that.
I just love Princess Mononoke
the location,
so much. It kills me.
I know. The location is like so fitting. I'm assuming it was probably like in some sort of like really tight
she's
garden
in the
space.
chat and says it was at the LA Convention Center.
Huh.
Well, I'm assuming it was like a really tight space, and like I think you made it really, really work. The spear like is so perfect in the corner, and it's such a nice leading line. Like it, I don't know, it leads you right to it. What is it? The details are fantastic. Like when you zoom in, it's so sharp. I love it. The one thing, yeah, I would definitely fix. Like I really like how dramatic, like the black is, but then you're also losing her backhand a lot. Like you can't really see it when you're zoomed out, but you do see the bracelet there, so you know it's there, but you can't see it. So that's the only thing that really bothers me that I'm looking at right now. I don't know how you would fix it. I'm not super great at lightning stuff because like I said, I really like how dark everything else is in the shadows.
Okay. What I would say with that is I actually don't know if I'd necessarily change much in terms of the lighting overall, but I think you color grade this and that section, like you could fill that with a color and it would work really well. Just kind of taking down the contrast to this image and giving it a bit more color grade would work really, really strong with this image. Looking at the comments again, said that this shot did not have any did not do any touch-ups, just straight color correction and lighting adjustments. So that's pretty darn strong with all that's in the submission comments. So you
I was
like, sorry.
Well, like I don't think there's really a need to retouch her skin at all because like she's got like I'm jealous of your clear skin, San cosplayer.
I would still do a bit of cleaning up of like the shadows. Like I think the skin texture is pretty nice. Like there's a little bit on her lips and just the overall shadows like off of her nose and kind of the highlights that I would still personally clean up. But like overall, it's definitely not like, oh my goodness, you really need to spend some time doing some touch ups there.
No, not at all.
I wanted to say this just to kind of wrap it up with the previous shot. It's a very similar pose with the head looking up and off and to the right. And this is what I was talking about with the eyes following the same direction as the nose versus looking in a different direction. It just feels a lot more natural. I just wanted to say that quick just because I figured this was a good example and kind of put a nice bow tie on that thought. Bow tie. Yeah, sure. That made sense. This shot to me is really nice, but man, is it ever screaming for some color grading. Like
I agree.
I also think that the
but I'm biased.
The framing is a bit square. I would like to see a little bit more headroom so that the cosplayer's head is kind of falling on that top left third. Yeah. Right now, it's just kind of a bit high in the frame, and if you could put her head on that third, that would really balance out the frame. I feel like maybe it was cropped down. Like, I don't know for sure that it was cropped down, but I feel like it was cropped down to kind of give that nice composition with the spear going to the corner of the frame, which I just, like, it's not, I don't have any problems with that, but I just don't think it's necessary. I'd rather have a little bit more headroom to kind of frame her a little bit better. I'm making a lot of assumptions there, but so, Tyrannosaurus, feel free to tell me exactly how I'm wrong. Let's see. Tyrannosaurus means, what exactly do you mean by color grading? What kind of palettes would you suggest? Just curious. I feel like, Sarah, you're the queen of color grading here, so do you want to kind of give some thoughts there? Or should I? Or Allison?
Like, I don't... So I get this question a lot. There are people who are like, how do you decide what kind of color palette? Honestly, I would say like 90% of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm gonna do. So I kind of just like play around with different editing sliders. So like a big one for me is, so I'll literally like play around with those slider things, like get something that I think So I don't really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think because it's Mononoke, like when it's something as iconic as that, like I'll typically draw inspiration from the color palette from the movie. And like I mean, Mononoke has color palettes in Ghibli movies place, but I would pick a specific moment from the movie and just kind of like go off of that.
Yeah.
I think because this has like a nighttime feel, the way that it's lit, I think it would be interesting to implement some of those like blue tones that he used in the film for the nighttime scenes.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. Like a nice teal.
Something.
Yeah,
because it is very clean and I think I think it's still a really nice image, but just like me, like I not only can I not do clean color grading or editing, but I prefer not to. I think it's grading that brings an image. That is like what differentiates from like a person with a camera, like someone like trying to make like a, and so I think that is the thing that can like really.
Let me.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
I am trying to give like in Photoshop here, just like a super quick like look at this. Give me like a couple seconds here, just so I can pull something together to kind of like give like a bit of an example.
So I'm gonna say something kind of like I want to be savage.
All right. Okay. I got this together. So, you don't need to if you don't want to. So real quick, I will pull this up on the screen to kind of give like an example what we mean by this. Let me screen share here. So I just used 2 curves adjustment layers in Photoshop to kind of bring some blues bit of reds in the shadows.
God, yes.
and then pulled up the shadows a little bit. So like what I did with here is just like if you look here with curves adjustment layers, I will lift the shadows in the red channel and lower it in the right. I mean, this is like super quick, and I'm not saying this is a great great color grade by any means. And then overall, I just lifted the shadows. Mallow's talking shit about my color grading, and I'm literally like, this was like 5 seconds. Stop it. Just this is
okay. So
purely
what she was saying earlier, Mallow said the colors look great. I was like, agree. Colors do look good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with colors. My problem, this is just but I don't like the editing style because to me it's so
it's a little what? Sorry.
Boring.
Yeah, it doesn't set a mood. Like it feels like this picture is really clean and everything is correct in this photo. There's nothing that is like the colors as a default here. There's nothing incorrect about it.
No, it's technically a beautiful shot.
Like
I mean,
it looks really good. Like the skin tones are really nice. Everything is like lit well. The colors feel accurate to the cosplay, but it doesn't feel like there's much of a mood, and you can use those colors to set that mood.
And I totally did not mean that as like a bad thing to the photographer.
No.
I'm not even gonna try and pronounce your name, but it's just kind of like it. Like I said, this is what differentiates you from being like a dude with a camera who knows how to work the camera and set up lights and then color.
It's very obvious that you like if that's your almost straight out of camera with like no retouch and just like a little bit of lighting and color adjustments. Like hell yeah, that's really good. Like you've got a very, very solid base to work off of, and you don't need to take anything as extreme either. Like you can do some pretty light color.
It just needs
something. Yeah, it needs something to give it that little extra pop.
Step. Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking cosplay for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like go crazy.
Yeah, this is meant to be extra. Okay, you guys got any final thoughts on this one? Or I feel like we covered a lot on this shot. So
no, I'm sorry, I got
no.
a little.
No. You're fine. You're fine.
It's just like one of the things that like bugs me about like some of like people are like, oh, it doesn't need coding, like it doesn't need this. It's like perfect, like straight out of camera or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yes, maybe technically like this is like an A+, but like creatively you could have taken it.
I'm a firm believer that there is no such thing as perfect straight out of camera. So like
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know, but like to me, I'm just like
I mean, there's no such thing, but
almost
you tell that to these fucking photographers who think that. So.
I'd say almost every photographer that is a highly regarded expert in their field is spending a long time editing. Maybe not a long time, but they're spending time editing their photos in Photoshop or Lightroom to get the exact look that they want. And yeah, that's just kind of how it is. So I definitely think that's the next step with this shot. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the next photo. Okay, this one is from a long time submitter in Fluffy Fox Photography.
They've submitted to every single one, haven't they?
No, she took a break for a little bit there, but she submitted to a good chunk of them. And considering we're on episode 22 right now, I believe that's still a substantial amount. So let me grab that link so I can post in chat. Sorry if I'm not remembering to post every photo link in chat because I'm bad and trying to multitask with so many things. But here it is. Post it in chat. So if you guys want to see it in full res. Kind of like coming off this shot, the previous shot, this kind of is what I feel like a little bit what we're talking about with that mood. I think the blues in this shot really go a long way to set the mood of this photo.
It's perfect for this show.
Yeah. I actually don't know this. Yeah.
It's from a show called Angels of Death. I've only seen like 5 episodes, but it's like very violent, very dark, moody. This girl is like, she's like a kid too. So it's like this kid in this like very violent atmosphere.
So edgy.
It is edgy.
I mean, there's I overall really like the mood that's being set here. I kind of like how the colors and that hard light kind of give this moonlight feel to the shot. I think there's the color balance here really does give that kind of blue kind of light, like there's a full moon rising kind of light, which is really awesome. The one thing that gets me with this image, there's a couple things, but the one thing that's driving me the most nuts is her eyes. The fact that one of them is for the most part pretty well lit, and the other is, because of that bang and that dark shadow, is mildly driving me nuts. I really wish it was lit in a way that both those eyes were similar. I would say other than that, the other thing that's bothering me is she's not pointing the gun the way she's looking.
I was gonna bring that up too. Can we also talk about how that's the theme for this week is eye direction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week seemingly has an unintentional theme.
Yeah, it's so weird. This is not planned, you guys.
Yeah. This is all just shit that ends up happening naturally on this. Yeah, no, that feels really awkward. Like, I feel like her eye direction is fine. Like, the way her face is going, the way her eyes are pointing, it's all fine, except when you add the gun, and the gun is not pointed in the same direction as her eyes, and then it's just like, wait, what? Yeah. The other thing that and maybe it's just because I don't know the show, so I don't understand it, but like the scythe that's like coming out of her back, just confuses me.
I was confused too because the scythe belongs to a different character. So this might be like probably a spoiler, but I mean I'm just saying the image is probably a spoiler.
Oh shit!
I don't know what it is. That's just kind of like the thing that I get from it.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, the scythe looks like it's coming out of her body. It's kind of, but it's not. As far as I know, it's not her. It definitely belongs to a different.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's like the one thing. I almost wish I feel like the photo would feel cleaner without the scythe, but without knowing the context of this show, maybe it makes perfect sense that way, and I just don't know. But like, coming from my naive lack of understanding, I don't know.
You don't need an understanding of the show.
One thing that's really bothering me, honestly, like my favorite part of the pose is the highlight on the shoulder, holding the gun. One thing I think that would really help, especially Andrew, your point with the eye that's covered in shadow, is just like making that whole side of her face in shadow. Like, what if you tilted her head back? Because Sarah, you said it's kind of like a dramatic and really moody and angsty show.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
So like I would really hype that up with the pose and just like because the light is so directional, like really play to the shadows. Just to really push that mood a bit more.
I agree. I think that would look really good.
Like, just like the tilt back. That way you can't even see it, and like maybe like a crooked smile or something on the face, and then just like the gun following the eyes, or like if the target is on the ground, still the eyes following the gun point. But yeah, just like because it's just kind of like a really plain pose, right? But like if you just like your head, just so that it was like really that sinister kind of cockiness that I think this image wants to convey to an extent. Like I think it could really just up the mood even more and really just
agreed.
Play to the light a lot more. I think it could be really dynamic.
Yeah, I totally agree. The only other thing I was thinking of is like the smoke that's in this shot. I wish it was a bit more throughout the frame.
Is it like in front of her? Is it fake?
No, it's real. She said in the submission comment it was her first time using smoke in a photo. So I assume that means real smoke and not compositing in. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Just like running around in front for a minute, getting low bit, high bit.
Yeah. Just even if it was just behind her a little bit more, that would be nice. Yeah. Guys got any final thoughts on this one?
Bobby Fox killing it as always.
Yeah.
Cool. And with that, we are going to take a short break. Before we go on that, I want to thank everyone who's followed in the past little bit here. So we got Vicky. Thank you. I'm gonna mispronounce all these usernames probably. Legrandink, Eric Jaws, Shinoa, and Hello Quinn. Thank you all for those follows. I appreciate it. And with that, we are going to go on the short break. When we come back, we will be doing a Q&A for 10 minutes. So think about some questions you would like to ask us. It can be for all of us or a specific one of us. Just get some questions in mind and be ready for that once we come back. We will see you shortly. Hey, we're back. Hi everyone. Hope you didn't get too excited waiting for us. So it's time for your questions. Lou asks, which is not in the Q&A, which is great.
I had earlier ones that I was kind of holding back.
You were holding that back from a break. We were on a break, and you could have burped that whole time, and you're just like, nope. Nope, I'm saving this for when the critique is
Welcome back.
No. So I was saying, Lou says, "Could I follow your spoofy to listen to your music?" I think you mean Spotify. I would guess, not spoofy.
Yeah, like, what the hell, spoofy?
I mean, if you want to follow by spoofy, I guess. I don't know what that means, but sure. But yeah, yes. It needs more bass. Spoofy now. All right, so okay, questions. We'll give you guys a little bit to figure out some questions that you want to ask. I prepared this time, and I have a couple questions. For Sarah eats like her dinner. Before people.
I'm always hungry.
Mood.
Damn it, Sarah. Okay, what is your guys' favorite lens? Allison, you were just like
nifty 50. I love my 50mm.
I like the 70 to 200.
Sarah says as she only ever shoots with like a 50mm.
Fuck that lens.
Sarah, it's like the only lens you own.
I know. No, my favorite's the 85 though. I just don't own it.
Sarah, you confuse me. But whatever.
I borrowed someone's 85. I borrowed David's and Aaron's, and I don't know. It was so weird. I didn't like being that far away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only reason I didn't buy the 50 is because, the 85 is the majority of my shooting is at con.
Yeah.
And I'm short enough as it is, so it's just kind of like.
Yeah, I love me my 70 to 200. I'm torn between my 70 to 200 2.8 and my 35 1.4. Both are amazing, but if I were forced to keep one, I would keep the 70 to 200. I love that lens. Canon specifically. I don't for whatever reason, having used the Nikon 70 to 200, it's like it's still a good lens, just doesn't feel quite as amazing.
It's not good.
I had a brownie on our break, so I think it's
how does a brownie make you burp?
Yeah, what?
It's not like a carbonated brownie.
Makes no sense.
Woo. Welcome to the stream.
Eric Jaws asks, he says, was doing an art showcase and the director likes my work. So what's your opinion on selling prints of your cosplay work? I have never sold any prints, so I feel like I am not a good person to ask that question to. I've just never felt all that inspired to sell mine. I think maybe the only thing I could see myself doing is eventually selling a book, but I don't even think that would probably sell.
Photo books are
I don't sell prints either.
Yeah. I think Allison, you're probably the only one here that sells books and prints, and you kind of come from the other side of that. So
it's not really the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think photographers would probably do better at selling photo books versus single prints, because then you're getting a collection of art.
Yeah. I just don't think that like it's kind of like a different thought process there that no one really wants to buy a like beautiful cosplay photo from someone that they don't know who the cosplayer is for whatever reason. I don't know why that's the case, but it seemingly is. But yeah, kind of is.
Photography bonds I brought up. I think prints would be a model release thing, so I think that's a good thing to bring up. Is like, even though I don't sell prints personally, I do give my clients the rights to sell prints of my photos that I take of them if we're taking it from like that direction. I don't know. We can go down a lot of holes with this.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions for us? I've got one more question lined up, but I'd rather answer questions from you guys than the ones that I had pre-set up.
Ask anything.
Yeah, it can be about cosplay or not. Like, ooh, that's a good one from Procrastinating David. Asks, what are your goals for this year? And then I will, after that, Felix, your question will be next. What are your goals for this year?
My goal is to not give a fuck about what this community says and just do whatever I want to do, because I am sick of trying to like do what is expected of cosplay photographers. So the end. Fuck that.
my goal is to do more location shoots and actually get more photos out from said location shoots, but it's pretty simple.
That's also one of my goals.
I feel like that was kind of a goal last year, and I did do more location shoots, but I did not put out as many photos from said location shoots as I would like, so that's kind of the next step there. Allison, goals?
As a photographer, work with more people, because I only have a few friends that I work with because I'm comfortable with them. So getting out of that, I did a little bit of Oki-Con last year, but do that. And then as a model, I guess I would like to shoot like specific locations and just be healthier and take care of myself a bit more.
Okay.
Not drinking that dew.
And
dog mom, yes, thank you, Danny. I'm gonna be a dog mom this year.
It's funny because Felix asked this to Sarah specifically, though I have some thoughts that I didn't answer previously on yours, Felix, when you asked this in that Midwest cosplay photographer community. Is do you have any advice on improving your local community in terms of cosplay photography? And that's asked by Felix. Specifically to you, Sarah, but I do have some opinions, but I'll let you go first, Sarah.
So I don't
Looked like you were just staring off at the ceiling for a second there.
I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to think. So the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, there are a lot of like cosplay meetups. Like I don't hold any of them, but I go to a lot of them. I think that's a really good way to help build your community. Because I think it's hard to do it like just solely online, and through panels at cons. I know that the community down here is pretty tight knit because of those meetups. Like we have a really big one called Ellicott City every year. It's held at this like abandoned like church or something. It's like destroyed, so it's really cool. So it's more kind of like a ruin. So I recommend trying to set up like local events, like gatherings and stuff. I think that helps a lot. I don't really know other than that.
The sad thing with that though is like a lot of like our Midwest community, I feel like, kind of flaky.
Yeah,
if you don't have the right people going, people are less likely to go.
I think the biggest thing is you need to kind of put yourself out there and really just kind of like force yourself to do these things, whether they're going to pan out or not, and just do them even if they aren't panning out. Like,
because like Ellicott City, like I remember the first year that they did it, they were like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna fucking wing it. And like honestly, something that they did that helped make it work is that they invited people that they knew and that they knew would show up, because then that just helps create like talk and buzz about it. So because of that, everyone now talks about it. So it's like,
I think other things. One, I don't think panels are all that helpful. Just because, like, I think if you really want to be helpful, I think filming stuff is probably going to have more success than doing a panel. Not that panels are bad, and I think they are a positive thing, but they're very limited in terms of scope. Also, don't be afraid of failing in terms of, like, trying to improve your community, because, like, some things you do aren't going to be successful. And that's okay. Or some things are just not going to be as successful necessarily as you want or hope, and you're going to put a lot of effort in, and that's just unfortunately part of it, unless you're like, have the ability to kind of read the future and know what's going to be successful. Chances are you're going to fail in some ways, and that's fine. Yeah, and I just think that, a lot of things that I've tried to do have kind of fallen in that same aspect. Like, I mean, hell, I think that this can be one thing. Like going into this, I thought this could be either a huge success or a massive failure. I just don't know. So you just kind of have to do it and kind of put yourself out there and be like, whatever. It is what it is. And then go from there. Okay, there's one other question I see here. That is a little bit of a longer question, so I don't know how I'm going to do this. From Lou, he asks, do you think special effects take away from the photo, from the subject? God, I can't read. Do you think special effects take away the photo from the subject? Like, God, why can't I read? Like you do a lot of cleaning, color grading, and essentially the special effects take away from the subject. So I will just put that as special effects. I think it just depends on how well they're executed. Like if they're well executed.
And also the type of photo.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think there are photographers who add it just for the sake of adding it, and then I'm like, well, that was like completely pointless and it doesn't help the image at all. So I think a good way to think about it is like, if you add like this fire to it, is this helping the image at all? Or is it just gonna like fucking sit there and do nothing?
Yeah, and if you're gonna add this fire, is it gonna be like something you spend like 2 seconds on and is like, hey, there's fire, and it could have looked cool if it was well done. But
you're gonna like take the time and blend it and meld it with the photo.
Yeah. So like, you know, there's a lot of aspects to it, and I think they can absolutely push a photo beyond, and then also really take away from a photo. So just like, yeah, be cognizant of how it's being used.
Is it meaningful? Like every edit that you do should have some kind of meaning and intent behind it. Like don't like we joke about mellow greens all the time. Like don't do mellow greens just because we're saying it. Like, does it make sense for what you're trying to do? Like, just think about it.
only ever do mallow greens.
Mallow greens only.
Okay. Any other? I think we're probably about time for this for one more question. So if someone has a final question they want answered, let's sneak it in here quick. Well, that's going. Huge thanks out to Ara Lee for the donation, for donating $50. That is so awesome of you. I want to read her comment because it's specifically towards Sarah, and Sarah being awesome. She says, Ara says, thank you so much for the photo shoot at MagFest, Sarah. I can't believe we've known each other for a decade. What? Shh, love you so much. That's from Ara. So thank you for the support, Ara.
Thank you.
You're a good bean.
Oh, she's a cutie.
Agreed. Come on, people, you got timers at 0. We got one more question. You guys if you're not gonna ask one, we'll just move on. We don't have to answer your questions, guys. I'll give it like another 30 seconds here. Miss Mallow asks, what is your favorite color?
Mint.
Wrong.
No. Black like my soul.
Oh, Ara says in all caps, wait, I'm typing one. Okay, Ara, we will do this. Ooh, goodness, this one's hard.
God damn it, Lord.
Ara's digging deep. We're at the end of this, and she's just like
this.
Boom!
GG. Do you really want me to go off? Because I will.
Ooh, Sarah!
Okay. What's the best way to be authentic in this community? Ara asks. Oh boy, that's a doozy.
Difficult. It's really difficult.
It's not difficult. Just do it.
So like,
do it.
Yeah, but like coming at it from a player's perspective too. Sometimes it can look like you're ladder climbing when you're being really nice to people that you look up to, right? And so like that's something I'm always really terrified of, is that like, if I'm being nice to people like that, like I look up to, are they going to be like, oh, that's really nice of you, and then be like, right? It's like,
really fucking obvious
though when someone's I'm terrified of talking to people and being nice to people outside my friend group.
No,
not being nice to people, but interacting with people.
I think it's obvious when people are ladder climbing. So I think you have nothing to be afraid of. Also, if someone thinks that of you, who gives a fuck? As long as you know that it's like not true, like that's what matters.
Yeah.
God, what was her question?
I'm just like,
what is the best way to be authentic in this community?
I think it's just like I have like it's like the math meme is like playing in front of my face right now. It's like so many things that I want to say, but I also just don't want to say it.
Honestly, so if you're contemplating, allow me to kind of jump in here. I kind of think it's like if you're being genuine, you're being genuine. So there's a fine line there though. Like if you're a person that's genuinely a dick, then don't be genuine. Be like just force yourself to be nice, because being a dick is not going to get you anywhere. And if you're being genuine and you're being who you are, and you are, you know, like being the person that you like and that makes you happy, and people don't like it, then fuck them. Because like this community needs positivity, and it needs people that want to be themselves. And there's a lot of fake bullshit that goes on. And if people are treating you like shit or just ignoring you for being yourself, then god damn it, screw them. Like, that's just awful. And we get a lot of that, especially in the, you know, the quote, not even so much the quote unquote cause famous, but like this whole like almost pseudo cause fame thing that sometimes goes on.
Don't even get me fucking started on cause fame. Oh
no. Cause fame is his own topic. That's terrible. But like,
that's not.
Yeah, just be you.
I think it's hard to be authentic in a community where it's encouraged, almost like it's not said, but it's encouraged to put up a front. Like it's like the whole thing about being online. Like you're supposed to be happy and like have no problems and like having like a baller time on my Instagram story, but it's like I kind of mentioned this in like a previous critique like quite a while ago. I said that once I reached a certain milestone on Instagram, I felt not obligated. I don't think that's the right word, but I felt like it was okay for me to start talking about things that were maybe a little more controversial, because now I at least have some kind of reach, and I want people, and I'm just already like personally like a very like blunt and upfront person. Like I'm zero bullshit. If you have a problem with me, like I want to know about it. And I know a lot of people in this community are not like that and are not comfortable being upfront or like talking about like their unpopular opinion online, and I think that's bullshit. Like we're entitled to have like our own point of views and our own thoughts, and I think if we want to become a more authentic community, I think people need to stop being so scared about saying something that's bothering them. Because if there's anything that I learned in 2018, it's like there were so many people I know that just like were like keeping all this shit inside. And it's like you are literally like following this person.
Yeah, don't keep that shit inside. Go on a poop break.
Or kissing this someone's ass because you feel like you have to. Like you don't have to do anything. Like if someone is giving you a shitty time, don't deal with them. Don't follow them. Don't be friends with them. Like I wrote something on Twitter the other day where I said that I recently unfollowed a bunch of people because I'm just not interested in their content. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I dislike them as a person. It's just for me on social media, it was making it just like I wasn't enjoying myself. And so I was like, I'm going to unfollow them or mute them or something, because whatever. Yeah. Like, don't be scared. Like, there are so many people in this community who are like, oh, I got to follow this person because they're cause famous. But like, if they're not doing anything for you, like if they're not motivating you to do better in whatever you're doing in this community, don't follow them. Like I was following so many people who don't do photography. They don't make their own costumes. Like they just are not producing things that motivate me creatively. So that was hurting me ultimately.
On that same thought process, I just want to like, because this is something I think that's bothered me in the past, and is something I've had to deal with and get over, is don't judge people solely on their social media presence.
Oh no.
Because so much of the time, like it's hard sometimes when there's people that you don't see, like except for a couple times a year, and it's easy to forget who a person is when you're taking in only their social media presence. And I think maybe that's an overall kind of advocacy to probably tune out on social media a little bit, because there's some people that like I started feeling like I was disliking, and then I hung out with them in person and I'm just like, oh no, shit, you're awesome. Like I love hanging out with you. You're so much fun. And then I don't see, don't see them for 6 months and only intake who they are via social media. And I'm like, yeah. So like, just all I'm saying there is in terms of like genuine, just remember that whole picture and don't judge a small slice. And especially time-wise, don't forget about the things that happened in the past. If like there's a little bit of things on social media that you're like, like I genuinely think the in-person stuff is way more important than the social media view.
Online, yeah.
Okay, I think we went pretty deep and hard on that
rant.
I could have kept going. We'll stop.
I'm sure we could have talked about that for like another 30 minutes.
I just want these people in this community this year to like, and I'm not talking about fucking social justice warrior bullshit. Like, don't like fucking bandwagon something because 500 people retweeted this bullshit thing. Like, that's just so stupid. That's not being authentic. Like,
it's a question that seems obvious but is way harder in reality.
It's obvious, but no one fucking does it in this community. Like, this community is so like, oh my god, I'm gonna appear to be like so happy and have like no problems and like it's just fucking unrealistic.
I genuinely think that's we get a skew as to what the cosplay community is. But we forget that this is a problem a lot of communities suffer from, not just cosplay.
This is real life. Like, this is real life problems. Like,
it's just like a people problem.
It's a real life problem. Like, when people are like, oh, well, it's cosplay, like, whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, but we're still, like, real life people who have to wake up and go to work and go to class and have whatever to do. Yeah, like, we're humans, too. There's gonna be bullshit. Like, you're fucking naive to think that there's not going to be.
Anyway. I'm sorry. It's so funny because Photography Bonsai posted in chat that feeling when my initials are SJW. Oh man, I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, I don't mean you, obviously.
You do you. You do you, Scott.
You do you.
Okay. With that, I think it's time for us to jump back into the critique. Okay, where were we? We are left off on photo number 7. So let me switch over to that. Okay.
I gotta get into like photo critique.
Yeah, it's like
I'm like on my
back.
Bring it back.
Yes.
I need
calm down.
No.
You are judging photos.
Shit out of me.
Okay, now you're looking at photos. Critique time with Sarah. Okay, we were trying for ASMR and then just boom out the window. Nope.
Sorry.
Done.
I'll bring it. I'll
totally interrupted.
Closer next time.
Okay.
So this photo is from Nude Carbon Studios. Let's talk about this one, Sarah. You wanna jump in here?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like where this photo is going. Like, I like how they're using like the pink colored gel and like the blue colored gel to create like this like I don't know why I feel like it fits with Evangelion, but I just think it does, but I can't articulate why I like it. But I like that the mood that they were going for. I do think though, like overall, I think the photo is a tad weak. I think the framing could use some work. I wish that like her left arm like wasn't getting cut off. Like, I just back away like 5 feet or something, so there's more space around her. I also wish that there had been some kind of, I mean, maybe there was, but like some color correction or something, because even though there was like a pink gel used, I wish it was more like red tone to match like Asuka's like aesthetic.
It almost it almost looks like there's like the pink gels almost make it look like she's a little sunburnty instead of being like a cool pink wash on the photo.
It's too magenta for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like where this was like the concept, I think, was a good idea, but I think the overall execution of the photo is weak for me. But like I said already, like the framing is, I think, a little off, and it needs some color correction of some kind, so it doesn't feel just like a magenta like hue to it. Yeah, and also I don't know how to do this with like how this works with gels, but like when you use like external lighting, like I feel like her eyes oddly feel kind of flat to me. I don't know if it's because like the whites of her eyes are also pink, which I know I've seen in magazines can work, but I don't know how like you can fix it.
So, so I know how this photo is lit. And Jesus Christ, Allison, calm yourself.
It's that brownie. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, I know how this photo was lit. Yep, that's a word. Lit. It was actually done. This was at DaishoCon, and it was like probably the most wonderfully ghetto rigged gelled photo shoot I've ever seen.
You saw this happen?
Yeah. Not this specific shot, but the lighting setup.
Oh, really?
It was using two RGB like 10-watt lights. These weren't like gelled flashes. These were just constant lights that he had mounted.
That's because of me.
That he had mounted.
Chase asked me about them.
Yeah, he had mounted to the door via two cut up boxes of Zima.
What?
Yeah, it was a pretty ghetto rigged setup. It was kind of wonderful. So I'm not gonna judge it too hard, knowing how jank the setup was. It was kind of funny and amusing. That said, like, man, I just wish these I know these lights are like maybe like this big. They're very small. And because of that, they got really hard light, and the positioning, like off of her left eye, you get that like really weird dark shadow being cast from like her eyelids and eyelashes that looks real funky. Just to maybe bring that forward a little bit or more back and have the pink be more like a key instead of trying to cross light it like this. It's just a little odd the way the positioning of both these lights are. They feel like they're fighting and trying to, feels like they're both trying to be key lights to some extent, instead of one being a bit more like a rim and one being more like a key. And I just don't think it works as kind of this cross lighting like this.
I was gonna say, I don't think there's really a rim light at all in this.
No.
It looks like the lighting is coming like directly on each side. So what I would have done, personally, is I would have had probably like one as a backlight and then maybe one even off to the other side and had like a third light for like filling, like just a really diffuse soft light. That way, like it's not such an extreme color. And then her eyes might be a little like brighter. I don't know. I also like wish the pose wasn't as straight on because it is such a baggy sweater. I wish it was more like that 45-degree 3/4 twist and straightened. And then kind of like what Mallow said, like the colors are a little bit off and don't really read as Evangelion to me. So like I know it's Asuka just because of the hair pieces. But like this hair is really, really red. And Asuka's hair is a lot more like a burnt orange, like almost brownie orange. So like this is like the hair color is like reading very Ariel like to me, but I know it's not Ariel because Ariel's a mermaid.
Because Ariel's a mermaid. I know it's not Ariel because this isn't a mermaid.
She's not a mermaid. But like she's got the attitude that Asuka would have, but I think just switching up the posing and the lights would help a little bit more. Like maybe the light wasn't so pink, maybe it was a little bit more orangey, and then it'll be, I don't know. I think the orange would help the hair color a little bit too.
I would echo all those things. I definitely think the pose with like the pose if you had her shoulders more turn to the side. I agree with that. That's absolutely what I would do as well. I kind of lost it to Vicky's comment of we can't prove she's not a mermaid. You're right. I mean, we can't. So I suppose Allison could be Ariel. We just
maybe.
It's the new crossover.
I'm sure it's been done.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I really like the blue in this shot, though. I think there's a lot of potential with it in the shadows there. Like, if you kind of make it a bit more of what the shadow color is instead of, like, make it a little bit further, like it's almost not quite a rim, but a bit more of a rim light than it is right now, I think it would work really nicely. Yeah.
Because, like, it's that blue's catching on that back, like, hair piece really nice, but like it would look so much nicer, and like her hair blends into that back corner so much, you would give more definition to her head and then that shoulder so it's not getting lost in the shadow.
Agreed. Okay. You guys got any final thoughts on this one before we move on to the next shot?
Nope.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to this one by Eric Jaworski.
Oh, I hate this. This is so spooky.
You know what's hilarious about this, Sarah? Is that he was like, I was thinking about submitting this photo, but I think it would scare Sarah, so maybe I won't. And I'm like, do it anyways.
Fucking hate clowns.
I love how that's how this came. Like, Eric, you nailed it. Yeah, definitely bothered Sarah.
Oh, it's so creepy.
So Allison, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yeah. So I didn't know what it was from, so I looked it up by the title that Andrew has. It's labeled as Alucard. So that's
the cosplayer.
Oh, that's the cosplayer.
Yeah,
dang it!
Cosplayer,
I was like, is this Helsing? Because
I know, like, this is not Helsing.
It's not? Oh, okay. Well, I looked up Helsing. Anyway, that
I would have known.
I was gonna say a little bit then, but I got some notes here. So, immediately.
I have no clue. Eric, if you can.
It's Batman.
He's in the chat. Where's this from, bro?
Procrastinating David saying it's from Bertman.
Oh shit,
Bertman.
Batman.
What is that?
Batman.
Is it the Joker?
Oh. Okay. So then is it like a Joker spinoff?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's a Joker thing. I don't know. What are her
comics? Okay, so right off the bat, it's a pretty like evil, sinister photo, right? The red definitely adds to that feeling. It's very like maniacal in the face and the expression. Really good job on the cosplayer. The chain, another like leading line. I feel like I keep getting pretty decent leading lines into the frame. So like and his arm is literally on the chain, like kind of pulls you into the photo. The fencing also helps with your eyes, leads you right to him. The mood is really good. His expression's really good. I covered all that. And then some things that I would look out for, I guess. Since his hand is on the one chain, you have his other hand up. I don't really know why that chain link is in his hand. Because when you're holding something like this, I feel like it should be like a weapon, like a knife or something. I don't really understand the concept of having a little chain link there. So I don't think that's really adding anything to the photo.
I think if his pose was like a little more intense, because right now his like I really don't. To me it looks like, I feel this. Obviously this is what he's doing. He's just holding on to it. He's not really making it. Whereas I feel like the feeling that we're going for is like he's pulling on it, and I feel like his pose
is he? He must be like holding it.
So the chain's coming behind him, and he's holding it through his arm.
Okay,
so
I didn't see that.
It took
a
while to process. I just understood that too.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So it's there then to keep it taut. Okay,
I got that, but it's like, but I think because he feels so relaxed doing it, like it's like pose wasn't quite like brought to that level of intensity that it doesn't like get across. right away. Like I said, I think if his pose had been a little more extreme looking, it would have made more sense.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sarah. I wrote down that I would also like a lot more dramatic of an angle, and like it could be really cool if he was like kind of like leaning back, actually yanking, or maybe like leaning into the lens,
or even if the angle was lower. Even
yeah, like what if it was, I don't know. I want to see this as like a landscape, lower angle, and like yanking you into the frame to be with him and really like maniacal like he is. I think that'd be like really cool. Like, I don't know if you have a wide lens in your kit, but like honestly, really to get the area, I think would like just really set the tone and the mood.
If you don't have a super wide angle, this is actually where I think Dutch angle could be interesting for it.
Because there are so many lines there, yeah. And my only other thing I have in this is that I'm honestly not sure if that, I'm assuming it's like a flash or a strobe in the front is really helping the image too much. It reads, like the way the light is bouncing, it looks really flat to me. Like there's so much, I don't know, there's just so much going on with the light. I wish it was like, what did I have down here? Maybe like bring it back away, bring it back a little bit so it was a bit more dramatic, kind of like what I was talking about with the really blue image. I'd like to see just like really harsher shadows. But I don't know, because like all the blacks, it just looks really flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just me.
I don't know. I think it's maybe the blacks aren't deep enough on him. They're also, so like if I sample like the blacks from like the beyond him are very, they have like reds in the shadow, but the blacks on him have blues in the shadow, which feels a little bit odd. I think like if you kept that kind of all neutral where they all had the red darker shadows, it would work pretty well. I also think that I don't know what I'm thinking because my brain just farted out. One thing to watch out for is that the reds in the background, like the light there totally blew out the detail. Like there's that big swath of like just red. Honestly, I don't necessarily think it's a huge problem here. I'd like to see some detail there. It would be nice, but overall, I think it's not bad here. But it's definitely something I'd watch out for in the future, because like, yeah, you just lost all that detail there. Yeah, right underneath the elbow. Overall, though, I actually like. I think this photo does pretty close to what it's set up to achieve and kind of give that creepy feel. I definitely think there's ways you could take it further, but I think you're probably like 90% there. So yeah, it's funny. I feel like I don't even know if this will show up on stream. I'll screen share it to see if it even works. I just did like a quick edit on this of taking those blues out of him. I'll turn it on and off, kind of like take the blues out of those shadows, and I do think it just helps a little bit with the mood. Kind of feels a little bit, I don't know if that's actually going to show up on stream, but we'll see.
It does. I don't really feel like I see the blues on my screen until you did that.
Yeah. It's a pretty subtle change, but I think it helps.
Yeah.
Oops, wrong button. You guys got any final thoughts on this one? Are you ready to move on to the next shot?
There's a little bit of makeup on the costume. I think just maybe cleaning that up a little bit. I mean, you can't really notice it far away, and it plays off like light.
Yeah, it also, because really it's kind of like a grungier cosplay, I would never have processed it as that. Okay, let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Sono Photos.
Oh shit!
And I will explicitly say the comment that he said when he submitted this, which is, please roast me. So he has asked for us to be extra hard on this shot. So So we are more than happy to oblige. Because, I mean, like, let's be real. This shot's dope as fuck. So, like...
I know, I'm kind of like, I thought he was going to submit something like...
Roast me. Here's a crappy
Here's
photo.
Here's one of
now
my better photos.
Yeah.
Thanks, asshole.
But, yeah, here's David, the result please. Of this critique. Fuck you, David.
Like, I can't roast you when there's really, like, nothing that bothers.
Yeah, there's...
I've got something...
Oh, there's
one thing. There's like
I've got a few things.
Okay. So this isn't gonna be more. This is gonna be less of a roast and more just like a decent day trek into Nitpick Town. So let's just nitpick this thing to death because that's about the best we can do. Go ahead, Allison in the back of the class. Allison, yeah,
Me?
you, yeah, yes,
okay.
you.
So. Because the bokeh and the like lens flare on the left-hand side, I think this image could like a gun flare, like right on the muzzle of the gun. I think that might be able to add a little bit more. It also really bothers me that there's movement in the cape, but then there's no movement in the wig at all. And I know that'd be really difficult to accomplish. But like it's really getting to me just because the cape is moving so beautifully and there's just no movement in the hair. And you really couldn't fix that unless you were doing like a huge composite with it, but I don't know. And then that swivel for the sign, it almost reads to me as hair, so that's just kind of unfortunate placing.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my comments too.
But I don't know. I love that bokeh and the lights in the cape. That's so pretty. The color toning is beautiful on it. Like the face retouching is really nice.
It's funny that you say that with the bokeh and the lights on the left. Actually, that's part of the very bottommost light is actually something that bothers me.
Because you so much more distinguished than the others?
My eye just ends up going to it. And I don't want my eye over there. Like it just pops out so much in that area, especially because the rest of that you kind of got that washed out overlay going on this shot, which I think for the most part works pretty nicely. But I think having that bright light kind of feels like it's combative with that washed out overlay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, this highlight is too strong.
So
on the face.
Yeah.
For the dodging.
Yes.
I know what you were going for because I think you were talking to me while you were doing this. I think it's too much.
I also
especially because like there's not like a strong light source coming from that direction, so like logically it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to have it be that bright to begin with. That's like my biggest gripe with this part. Your nose is fucking as bright as that light to the right.
No, in general, I think the lighting on the face is my least favorite part of this image. Not even just the dodging and burning, but like the face.
The technique isn't bad.
I think the face is mostly in shadows, and just like kind of the dodge and burn feels very inconsistent because like the right side of the face feels like it's gotten a really nice like dodge and burn treatment. Whether it deserves it or not, to be that bright is a different story. But then the left side of their face doesn't look like it's gotten really any dodging and burning. So it kind of feels like at odds. It feels like there's like almost like this weird hot light that's just like spotlighted to one very specific part of their face, and it feels really weird. Also, I am not a fan of the dodging and burning on the eyes. Kind of get that a bit too much of a bright glow coming from the eyes. Yeah, the face is definitely my least favorite part of this image. I think maybe I'd like the background to be just a smidge darker. I feel like the mood that this shot's going for is really strong, and based on the cosplayer and the design, I can't think of the name of the cosplay right now, and it's driving me nuts because I know yeah, okay, there we go. I was like I know it's on the tip of my tongue because I'm like I know everything about the not everything, but I know what it's from, the character. I just couldn't think of the name. I was like, damn it. but just kind of like making it a little bit darker, especially because I feel like those lights, seeing those lights, it makes it feel more evening-ish. But how bright the shot makes it feel not quite as like dark and moody as I would like. So maybe just toning down the brightness in the background a little bit could help.
Yeah, it's like I like the color, I like the toning, but also because I know it's Vincent, I want it, like, my brain just wants it to be like a little moodier. I don't know, just might be interesting just to see.
I'm gonna read through some comments from chat just because
I know I'm trying to catch up on chat.
Yeah, there was a lot of chat on this one, which I appreciate, but I'm like my eyes trying to think about this shot and then read chat on my brain's like can't. Bobo says, as much as I love a good cape flip, the more I look at it, more it feels overdone because the rest of the pose, hair, chain, etc. is too calm for the clip for the cape to be excited. I like that. Photography Bonsai says, was the background additionally blurred? I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think it's probably default blur. That doesn't look like a fake computer blur, generated blur. It looks pretty natural to me. Let's see. Seneca comments, I wonder who flipped that cape.
What is that emoji
no idea.
supposed to be?
It's a fort bush, probably fucking Fortnite.
Is that fucking Fortnite?
It looks, honestly, it looked like a fart cloud with eyes to me.
I was like, what is this?
I don't know the situation, but would the cosplayer have been able to just do like a twist with this costume? Because I think that would have solved a lot of problems instead of Nick, you having to flip the cape.
Yeah. Since we're on this trip to Nitpick Town too, the belts that are going around them on their stomach, the way that they're kind of like tucked in a little weird and like feels a little odd, but like it just feels like there's a little bit of kind of funkiness with how that's done, and that might just completely be on the cosplayer, but it's because we're building a home in Nitpick Town that I'm going into that.
One of my favorite things about this though is the red. I love that red tone.
Mm-hmm. The colors in this shot are so good. I would not go. I would never have gone like that teal, that kind of yellow and that red together. That's my brain wouldn't have comboed that ever, but like now that I see it, I'm like, oh hell yeah.
It's funny because like teal and red are like my two favorite colors when it comes to like design stuff. So it's like, but I never would have thought of putting them together for a photo. Mm-hmm. I love that combo. It's such a good combo. Okay, moving on. We're done.
No, we gotta. So I will leave this as my final comment for this. And this just speaks on Vincent's like cape being so destroyed, but like everything on Vincent looking so pristine feels at odds to me. This photo feels so clean and beautiful, and I like that. But like then the cape being this like destroyed, tattered thing with tears and rips and holes, and like it not feeling like a little bit grungy, like it feels like there's no dirt on it, just feels like a little odd. And yeah, that's all. Sorry.
I feel like that goes back to your comment.
Yeah, it's probably more on the cosplayer, but
okay, moving on.
Okay, let's move on.
This is not even a good photo to roast on, David.
Yeah, David, you get like, you're just like, roast this one, I dare you. And we're just like, you're right.
Miss the roast like he misses those K-cups every morning.
Oh, there's the roast. Oh, shit. Oh, throwdown.
No, they're so funny. I laugh every time.
Oh, my God. There's the roast that we wanted.
And let's
got it.
Okay. Sono photos. I didn't even
hear it. Are you kidding me?
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, just like he misses those K-cups. Come on.
Wait, is Love Live School Idol Festival? Please tell me. I messaged you last time. I don't know people's names.
New Twitch stream. Who this? Yeah, it's just putting that out there. If you expect us to know your Twitch username, yeah, sometimes we don't. So like, yeah, sometimes it helps to introduce yourself. If you're like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" and we're like, "Oh,
well, because they type to me like, I clearly I know who they are.
Okay. Okay.
No, you won't. You just jinxed yourself, David.
David, go back and listen to that again because you missed out on the best part. So go back and watch the VOD after
this.
this.
The best roast of this critique.
Vicky comments,
Vicky,
I'm Vicky.
I had no idea.
Thanks for that, clearing that up.
Thanks, Vicky. I didn't know who you were.
Okay, before we move on to the next photo, I just want to
Mel just asked for ASL.
God, no. Before we move on to the next one, I just say thank you to Nifty50 Lens for the follow. That's a great username. Okay, let's move on to the final shot of the critique. This one is from Felix Dandy. And whoa, rude. And Sarah, you're leading us off on this final shot.
I love Fate. Gilgamesh.
I choke. How the tables have turned. From the times of what the fuck's fate? We don't know what fate is, and now it's.
Except
fate.
This is from
fate.
This is from like FGO though. So I don't know.
Oh, seriously, I choked on that water. Oh god. Oh, Lord.
First off, I want to say this is a cool thing, but every time Felix submits a photo, I don't realize it's his until I like see what the file name is called, because his editing style is different like every single time, which I think is like really cool, because that means that you're kind of like experimenting and figuring out new things. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Sorry.
Anyway, Sarah is processing.
No, I'm trying to figure out who this person is. Anyway. So, I love the colors in this photo. Like, I love I don't even know how to explain.
It's a very subtle color grade, but it works really well.
It's like not.
It's kind of kind of like a bit of like light yellows in the highlights, and like kind of like greens in the shadows, and it just works really well here.
I just don't, and like the there's like a really good range. Like the image is very balanced, and I really like that. And also something that I think that works really well is this background is so busy, but the cosplayer still stands out somehow.
Yeah, I think it's a great. It's perfectly focused. I think that helps a lot, and then like so much of it, like it's really busy, but it's very bokeh heavy. So like it's just sorry, I'll stop. You
Andrew,
I'm sorry. I gotta talk about the photos.
No,
sorry, Sarah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You basically already just. But it's raining in this photo. I just realized.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah, there is. There's like little lines.
It's very subtle. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's a very light rain.
Mm-hmm. If there's one thing I'm not, there's a couple things that I'm gonna touch on. The red flowers in the background. Either I would have desaturated them, or made them, or just changed the color completely, or whatever like saturation level you did for like the clothing, I would have masked out for the flowers, because right now they're doing that thing where you oversaturate something and it gets all like weird looking. I don't know how to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it kind of gets that like hard edge to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Unfortunately, that was like one of the first things I saw when I looked at the photo, because it's just like.
Yeah, especially because like the reds of those flowers are screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to touch on is I think the face retouch could have been a little better. This is like a very heavily contoured face. Like there's a ton of makeup on there, and because of that, like sometimes when you photograph it, it can come out a little harsh because you want it to show up in a photo, but in turn, if you don't like spend the time to like correct it, it can look not great. So I'd recommend for Felix to kind of like spend more time on evening out the skin, especially on the face. Like the arms
right
like
here. This is what gets me because there's a slight shadow like right where the eye bags would be. Like,
yeah. And like it feels a little uneven like along the jawline and stuff. So I would just like smooth that out, bit some frequency separation or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is a dope shot. I don't really have. Oh wait, there's another thing. Oh, because I zoomed in.
But wait, there's more.
The handle of the axe, should touch up like where the green bits are, where the paint's chipping off. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I would definitely echo pretty much everything you've said. I really like this shot. I think pretty much most of the changes are minor here. I really like the just it is impressive how much like is going on in this shot, but yet somehow it works.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'm just like
I think it's because the color
shit.
I think it's because the color toning is fairly unified throughout the photo.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Honestly, I would kind of like to see the greens brought down a little bit, like a little bit saturated, because like it's really, really green in the top left and on like the bottom right, and then right above the top of like the axe, like where the staff just kind of flowers out that bush that's like perfectly placed. It's a little bit too green, in my opinion.
I would like super nitpicky. I think the skin tones are in the shadows are a bit too magenta.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't super bother me, but like if it were my shot, I know I'd tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the shot.
I know. I was like, I don't really have a lot.
I think part of what I really like about it is the pose is feels fairly interesting. Like there's a lot of props which sometimes can be like just miserable to integrate, and you just feel like you're showcasing props in a photo. But like it feels very natural here, like how they're holding the axe and the book. Like it just doesn't. I'm going to say it's a book, but I don't know. It just feels very natural, and I dig it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the photo is like the hand that's holding the book. It's so detailed and there's so much like I don't know, there's so much going on right there. But with the pose, I honestly think it's a little weak. I wish like that arm holding the book was outstretched a little bit more. But because like there's such a beautiful material lining this like sleeve or cape or whatever it is. And like I want to see more of that, but I'm sure like the cosplayer was probably tired like from holding it probably all day. But like just having like something like this, like a little bit more outstretched, I think might be really interesting. But like the pose itself doesn't bother me that much.
I generally think like looking at it more, the one thing Sarah said like about the shadows on the face, that's probably what's bothering me the most about this image. Like there's skin,
just so much texture.
Yeah, like it's just like there's like if I can zoom in here to kind of showcase this for you guys here. Oops, I don't know why it does that. There's like this shadow like right here. It's a little weird. I like don't know where that's coming from. And just kind of the under eye line there, and just kind of the not very uniform shadows here. Those are all things that I would clean up. Especially the one that bothers me the most is this shadow right here, because I want this all to be highlight here.
It's like I said, I think it's a result of like a lot of heavy contouring, and it just wasn't evened out.
Yeah. Vicky says I trow as well, and I'm just like, cool. I don't know what that means, but sure. I'll nod. I'll nod. Yep. I trow.
Yay.
Okay, you guys got any final thoughts to wrap up this image?
Felix is killing it, whatever.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Itachi line.
Itachi line dead.
Seriously?
Lauren, nope. We're ending it. Game over, folks.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Quick, say this. Gray Roamer, thanks for the follow. Let me pull up my thing right here.
Did someone give more money?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I should have said that. Yeah. I totally glanced over that. Now that yes. Somebody, being their username, some_body, donated $55 with. We need that racipy for brownies.
Oh.
So, Allison, come on. Gotta get those burp brownies. Want to know what you put in those brownies, man. Thank you so much for that donation. That's awesome. We super appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let me get this up here. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and thank you, Allison, for being on. So excited to have you on. It's been a long time coming. Oh man, you make it sound so much cooler than it is, but sure, we'll pretend.
With photography senpais. I'm honored.
Stop. Mallow asks, "Are you going to Katsucon?" No. I think Sarah's the only one. Yeah, Sarah's the only one going to Katsu. Yeah. So Allison, where can people find and keep up with your work?
I am most active on my Instagram account. It's Allison. If you want to figure out how to spell that.
It starts off normal, then it's just a bunch of extra letters.
Yeah. Most active there, kind of getting into some streaming here on Twitch.
What's your username on Twitch?
That's easy. It's Oki_Cospi.
Awesome.
So,
easy enough.
But yeah, that's where you can find me most active. Otherwise, Twitter and Facebook.
Also, you can follow her on. Apparently, we're not supposed to say this on Twitch, so I'm not going to. Yeah. But you can follow her on the starts with a P and ends website. With a Treon.
Wait, you can't say that on Twitch.
I don't know. That's what Allison was telling me. So
I've just heard of people getting in trouble because it's sending people away from the site.
Well, follow her on Patreon. Fuck it. Yeah, go follow her on Patreon anyways. She's dope. Sarah, where can people find your work?
Mostly on Instagram. I've abandoned Facebook.
Yep.
Fuck it. And Twitter.
Yeah.
Mostly Instagram.
And you can find me on Facebook as Vontography and on Instagram as Vontog, and obviously on here trying to do a bit more gaming streams and maybe try and sneak some photo editings on. So if you enjoy watching me do boring things or slightly more fun things, then do that on here. I appreciate it, I guess. That was a great sell.
Good job.
Yeah, just killing it. Obviously, Sarah, your next upcoming con is KatsuCon. However, Allison, do you have an upcoming con?
C2E2, I'll be there all 3 days. Otherwise, that's probably it, other than ASIN.
And I will be at Anime Milwaukee coming up here. I don't know in what capacity yet, but I will be there at the minimum on Saturday. So that's me for upcoming cons. So our next critique will be on January 24th. So that's 2 weeks from today. And we will have IM Photography on as our guest. So that's really exciting. Ooh. He's been someone I've wanted to have on for a while. So
if you don't already follow him, he's the Hunger Service on Twitch.
Yeah, his streams are way cooler than ours. So go follow him. So yeah, no, go follow him on Twitch. He's awesome. And everywhere. But so yeah, so if you want to get photos in for that'd be awesome. He'll be a blast to have on. thank you, audience, so much. You guys were great tonight, giving lots of comments and critique. Super fun having you along, commenting with us. Yeah, if you enjoyed this stream, consider giving a sub, whether that's a regular sub or an Amazon Prime sub. They both work out perfectly for me, so appreciate them both. Yeah, so if you're enjoying it, consider giving a sub or a donation. Both go a long way to help things out here. So super awesome to those of you who can do that or want to do that. It's not an obligation by any means. I think that is it. Thank you guys so much. It's been a blast. Hope it was a fun episode. And yeah, we will see you all in 2 weeks. Have a great night and see you soon. Bye. Bye.